start off with here. I'm sorry, this is a bit out of order. They released the first trailer for the Snow White movie, the live-action Snow White movie that stars Rachel Zegler as your titular princess, and Gal Gadot as the evil witch, which is something. But this first look at this movie came out this weekend, or yeah, this past weekend. A lot of takes about this trailer. I watched it. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
it's
really
all over the
feel.
place. We love it. We hate it. We love it. We hate it. All over the
Yeah,
place.
I saw a good bit of both. I personally, just to like go back a bit here, don't really care much for Snow White, just the originals. It's not my favorite like Disney princess story. So the ceiling for me being excited for this is already a bit low. Um, I think it looks just like all the other like Disney live action stuff. I saw somebody comment about how it just looks uncanny, how everything about it just looks weird. Not so much about it looking fake, just weird. Um, which is not only because of the CGI, but like the lighting they use, where like every scene is golden hour, every single scene.
Yeah.
Um, it's just very strangely produced. But I do like Rachel Zegler. I think she's a great young actress. So I think it's cool that she's playing Snow White there. But yeah, this is definitely a trailer that exists. I'm sure this movie will make like $850 million because people love those classic Disney stories. But
It's so weird too because it's like you said, like how the original one that was done in the 50s, I want to say, or even the 40s, it was old. Can you look up the
way
date for
back,
me real
yeah,
fast? What do you want, Sadie? Can you look up the date for me real fast so I don't get that
I
wrong?
can,
Everyone
yeah.
screams at me. I want to say it was the late 40s. No, early 40s. It's
The
been so
original
long.
Snow White came out in 1938.
Okay, so 1938. The thing you got to understand when this movie came out was the techniques that they were using for animation were like cutting edge. So that was it's like people will get mad at me, but whatever. Forget the story, right? Who cares about the story? You look at the production. Like it's the animation that they were doing for the time was completely state of the art and was revolutionizing the process. That's what that did, and
Mm.
that's why that movie's so significant. And it did have some cute songs too, like the great song. Obviously, Disney's used to be nothing but musicals, so like it's the songs and the techniques of the production. When you remake something that feels like it's made in a factory, of just like the CGI doesn't look bad, just you just turn the CGI on and it does the thing and it does looks like this. Like, what is it doing to move it
Mm.
forward? Right? What is it doing that's cutting edge that's never been done before? And if the answer is nothing, because maybe there's something that I'm missing at the tech side. If the answer is nothing, then like what's the point? And the point is money. You make money.
Mm.
It's an IP people know the characters, people know the story, so you make money. I'm
Right.
on the fence of like why call it a live action when like 90% of the movie's not real is like really odd to me. Like it's like the only thing
Mm.
is real is the actors and like everything else
Yeah.
is CG. The entire like there's nothing real in this like scene where she's in the house
Well,
and singing.
that
Like very weird.
that argument got even more interesting with the Lion King because Lion King
Yeah.
doesn't even have humans in it. There aren't even like at least
Yeah.
this one you can be like there's a human character in it, but even Lion King there are no humans. So it's like what there actually is nothing in that movie. Um that's real. Um but yeah, I am with you. I mean,
What are your
hey, at
takes
the
on
end
like
of
the
the day,
remakes in general? Like, did you watch? Because they've remade a lot of them. Have you watched them all? Like, what are your thoughts overall on the remakes?
I've liked some of them and I've not cared for some of them, and I've also not watched some of them. I think Beauty and the Beast might still be my favorite so far. I like the Beauty and the Beast remake, maybe just because I really like Emma Watson, and I thought that movie was pretty well done. And I really like the original Beauty and the Beast. That one's much higher up there for me, closer to my era, if you
It,
will.
what, what, it won an
But
Academy. It was one of the first ones to win an Academy Award, wasn't it? Like it won Academy or won a bunch of Academy Awards, or was
maybe,
nominated for a lot. I remember it was a big deal
hmm
when that was on the
right.
Emmys or Academy Awards or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see Aladdin or Lion King. I think by the time those were coming out, I had kind of already checked out by then. But the Cinderella one I thought was decent. The Amy Adams one, I thought was all right. But it's one of those things where like all these original movies aren't just old; they're like your great great grandfather
Yeah,
old. Like they're like pre World War II old. These aren't like movies from the 80s that are these are movies from the 30s and 40s. I know Beauty and the Beast is a bit newer. Aladdin was 90s, but still most of these movies are like 80 years old. So I think perfectly fine to remake an 80-year-old movie. Obviously it's for money, but I mean the biggest entertainment company in the world owns such beloved property. Obviously, if anything, I'm surprised that this is only the first time we've gotten this kind of remake for a movie like Snow White or Cinderella. So it doesn't bother me that they're going through their catalog and remaking them all. Um, but it does, like you said, it seems weird that they insist on making them all live action when they very clearly want to do things with CGI in them, and they
Yeah.
want to like push CGI with all these movies. Army of Techno, also in chat says, isn't there a copyright reason behind these remakes? Um, yeah, I believe
Could
so.
be. They
Probably.
have to make a film every
Mhm.
X amount of years, right? Or the rights go up for auction. The film rights go up for auction. They have to do something with it.
Right. But then also though, to that point, aren't those different things? Because like the Steamboat Willie thing, right? Where like Steamboat Willie officially went into the public domain uh this past year. That was just because it had been like 90 or 95 years, I think it was, since it was created. I don't think there
Yeah.
was anything they could have done to prolong that other than
No,
like changing the law. They
they
couldn't have
did.
like made a Steamboat Willie movie.
110 years after the death of the creator, I think, is what they've
Yeah,
lobbied for like a decade. But that you're talking about
right.
just copyright. Like when you talk about like if you're talking like there's film rights to
Mhm.
Snow White could lapse, right? So
But
they have
that's
to
when you
make
like
something.
license things though, like Spider-Man with Marvel, right? Like Sony has to make a Spider-Man thing every so many years,
Yeah,
or else they
right. Or they
revert
lose
to
the
the
film rights.
original owner, which would be Marvel. Whereas Disney created Snow White and all these guys. So I think these properties will just go public domain regardless of what they make. I think these are like they're a bit further out schedule-wise, like another decade and a half or two
Yeah, yeah.
decades. But I think that all these like original princess stories are like all headed straight for the public domain,
They
no matter what.
they definitely made sure. Well, like it was already public domain when they did the Snow White. It's just Disney's version of Snow White is copyrighted, but Snow White, that story of Snow White is public domain. Like you can make a story, but if it's anywhere close to resemble Disney, they'll hit you with lawyers. So like that's the irony of the company is like they're some of their best animated features. Beauty and the Beast were originally books that were public domain, and then they made them into movies, and then they just copyright the shit out of them, made it really difficult for anyone to do anything if it had anything remotely to do with the Disney version. And I don't even know how you classify the Disney version. I guess it's very odd. Probably has to look a certain percentage different or something. But no, yeah. And so like the Snow White story was originally a book, I think, and then same. I know Beauty
Mhm.
and the Beast was a French fairy tale that they Disneyfied, right?
Right.
So like you can use
Yeah.
those, but like you have to do the thing. My wife's school just had to pay like astronomical amount of money for a school. I don't know how much it was, but for a school it's a lot. To do the Beauty and the Beast play because you have to pay Disney if you want to do it.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I know you have to pay. I know you have to pay
there's a fee
Disney to do it, but
associated.
I guess what I'm saying really too is really that the school even like contact them, because I imagine like a just like a public school in the middle of nowhere could probably get away with it, right? Like I mean, there are thousands of schools. Like I mean, I've seen businesses like
Take that risk, I guess.
I've driven past daycares that have like Minnie Mouse spray paint or like drawn
Yeah.
on the side of them in big like mural art, and I'm like, Disney didn't license that to this random ass family owned daycare in Baltimore County. But like, I see stuff like that all the time, and I'm just like, at some point, you're just small enough that they'll never know it exists.
It's a risk.
Like, I
No, you can
mean,
certainly do that and
I
take
don't
the
know.
risk. I mean,
Yeah.
but like if something the school district can get in trouble and
Mhm.
then have to pay three
Yeah.
times.
No.
It's a matter of how much you want to
No, no,
risk.
they're doing the right thing. I'm not suggesting that they should not have paid. In my head, I
No,
was
you're
like,
saying
I
like
just
why they
assumed that
just
like
do it to
schools just
small
did
rural
that.
school. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think because the same thing like when they found out people were showing Disney movies in class and they got really upset about that, like that kind of stuff.
That's where I saw all my Disney movies growing up.
Yeah,
Was in the
they got really
classroom.
mad
Yeah.
about that. That's a market. So like
Yeah.
you saw Beauty and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast I think is the only one Nicole and I suffered through. And I think it's the problem with remakes, right? You change them too much, everyone complains. You copy them one for one, everyone complains. So I think it's like a lose-lose situation, right? Like when you do
Mhm.
when like there's nothing original in it and you're copying it shot for shot, song for song, like what is new about it? And if you change too much, people get upset. And it's just like don't touch them. In my point of view, it's like just don't mess with them because I think it's an unwinnable situation. And that's why I feel like a lot of these movies come out, make $800 million, and then go in the trash. They're disposable movies. I mean, like,
Yeah.
will people watch Beauty and the Beast, the live action Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Little Mermaid, Pinocchio 30 years from now, and will they be held in such high esteem as the originals? No, because they didn't do anything new, right? They re-released them. They used modern technology, and that was basically it. And I think that's people get upset about the most is like their place in history is very important. It defined a studio. The techniques they used, state of the art. It grew Disney from like a small animation house to this gigantic corporate conglomerate, and now we're getting all these movies that just seemingly kind of disappear after 4 weeks in theaters, and you never hear or see from them again. Really, I know you're getting a Lion King
Mhm.
2, a prequel, right? Because the first one made so much money,
Yes,
and
they released a trailer for that one. Yeah, they are making
yeah,
another Lion King movie about young Mufasa, which is,
it's a thing. A
I
bit
think
like
it's a big
just, I
thing.
think that's the other day. Just people don't like because those movies have like a really interesting place in history, and these feel like don't want to say soulless, but like factory made, like an assembly line making
Yeah.
movies, right? And so like, and so
Mhm.
you don't have that same care and consideration as the original one. And they like I said, they come and they go. They come, there's a shit ton of controversy, they make $1 billion and they go away. And that's weird. If
Yeah.
a movie makes $1 billion, shouldn't it withstand the test of time and like cement itself in history? Like that's the weird thing,
Well,
right?
wasn't that the argument with Avatar for so long, right? It was like this
Yeah.
is the highest rated movie of all time, and like nobody's cosplaying the
Yeah,
Navi at Comic-Con and stuff like that.
exactly.
Was
Who saw Avatar 2? Like it made $1 billion.
mhm.
Like I didn't even bother. Like somebody saw it.
They announced the title for Avatar 3 at
They
D23's
did.
Fire and
They
Dash.
did, and James
Fire and Ash,
Cameron's
baby,
gonna do it.
2026. Mhm. But it's interesting though, because you said in 30 years will any of these live action remakes be like remembered or revered?
Will they? Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's actually an interesting question
Mhm.
because regardless of what we think about them, there are a lot of people who were born in 2013 who will have grown up now with the live action Little Mermaid, which I didn't see, but I actually heard was pretty decent. And I know Halle Bailey's a really good singer, so I'm sure the music's great. Or like Beauty and the Beast, that will be like their introduction to these, unless their
Yeah, yeah.
parents are
Will the
like Disney
nostalgia
adults
come back
who,
full circle? Is the question, right?
yeah. But it'll just be what they know these properties to be. Like they aren't going to be like, "Oh, I love the Beauty and the Beast remake." They're just going to say, "I love Beauty and the Beast," and when they're talking about it, they're going
Which
to talk
one?
about Emma Watson because that's just what they had. Same way when I was growing up, if you were like, "Do you love Star Wars?" I'd be like, "I love Revenge of the Sith." And that's just what
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I think yeah, for a lot of a generation of kids, like this is just going to be what these properties are. And they might be just inferior versions, but not to them, And once they're old enough to buy merchandise and tickets and
Yes.
amusement park passes,
Once they
that'll
have
be all
jobs
that
like us and they're
matters.
wasting
Yeah.
money on action figures and stupid collectibles, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so it could go either way, but I am curious to see how these stand the test of time with that generation that
Mm.
is like growing up on them, and we'll be seeing these as their first exposure to that brand. Speaking of Disney stuff, I do want to get through some more D23
Sorry,
things
yeah.
here,
There's so much, just too much,
if you
too
don't
much stuff.
mind.
All right, keep
No, you're
going.
fine. Let's look at the first look from Toy Story 5, Greg. They shared this, which this is funny for a couple of reasons. We already knew they were making Toy Story 5. They announced this like a year ago that they were going to make another Toy Story movie. I don't know if there's been a Toy Story movie that hasn't made $900 million or more. Fourth one was 2019, I think, and did really well. Here we go. The first image from Toy Story 5. This is this is interesting, right? Because obviously you've got the gang back together. The first thing everybody online was saying was like, where did Woody come from? Because that was
Yeah,
a big
it's
thing in Toy
concept
Story
art,
4.
people. It's concept art. That's
Is that
why. Yeah.
Woody leaves. But like obviously they're gonna bring Woody back because they wouldn't make a Toy Story movie without
But like,
him as
how
long
though?
as
He
Tom
left.
Hanks is
Like, it's
kicking.
like how. It feels like a stretch, man. Like you have to
They're just
commit. You
gonna
have to commit. If you made that decision in the last movie that he's gone, you have to
they're
stay with that.
they are just gonna bring him back. They're just gonna say he came back. So Greg, I'm telling you.
What if
Or I mean,
what if it's like a new Woody, like another toy of him,
well, I was gonna say
right?
there are ways they could do that. Yeah, they could. They could literally be like, "Oh, she lost her Woody toy. Mom bought a new one." And maybe that's a plot of the whole thing is you're not our Woody.
It cost her
That
mom
could be.
$58,000, but she got the rare toy.
Yeah. Um, Now I do think this image is funny because of what it implies, Greg, about the story of Toy Story 5, where obviously you have. I assume that's Bonnie, who was the kid after Andy goes off to college, the new kid from Toy Story, the end of Toy Story 3, uh, who's under the blanket on. Well, I can't. It's either a phone or a tablet. She's a little
A
kid, so it's hard to
tablet,
tell if
yeah.
that's a cell phone or a tablet. And then all the toys are just at the foot of the bed looking at her. So obviously this movie is going to tackle the like Gen Alpha, iPad kid, social media technology generation, right? Because like kids these days don't use toys; they're on TikTok. It seems like
Yeah,
that's
they
going to be
don't.
the.
They don't play. They don't use toys.
It
Yeah.
seems like, but it seems like that's going to be the story for Toy Story 5. Is Bonnie will be scrolling through YouTube Shorts instead of playing with Buzz and Rex and Jesse and all
My
them.
skiddly poppers.
Uh, yeah,
Skiddly
yeah, she'll be
poppers.
playing skiddly poppers and whatnot. I already saw a clip where somebody edited it to make it like she was watching Skibbity Toilet on the phone,
Oh
like under the
God.
blanket, which I thought was
Yeah.
funny. But Greg, I'm curious to get your take on this because one, I know you groan at the idea of Toy Story 5 that they're still making these movies, but you're also someone who constantly talks about like this generation and kids using technology and social media and stuff like that. Would you be interested to see what Pixar has to say about like the kid iPhone generation? Does that like pique your interest seeing that they're going to do a movie about iPad kids and Toy Story,
A
or
little,
you still like save it?
a little bit because I feel like that's just a movie that's designed for people Gen Z and up. Like that's the big thing, right? Kids have seen Toy Story, they know what it is, right? But like kids who were born like Gen Alpha and like Gen Y, I think, like they came in at Toy Story 4, you know, or 3, you know what I mean? Like they didn't see the first one in the theaters. Obviously the first one revolutionary, the first fully animated feature film to be released in theaters. Fully featured, the key word is there, feature film, long length feature film. So it was a big deal.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, I saw 4. I didn't think 4 was bad. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a lot of rehashing of 3. Like, you know, with the, you know, the toy that didn't get a home and is angry instead of doing the thing. And like, it was nice because like Woody decided to like stay behind. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like they're going to move on. That's a cool ending. And now they're bringing him back. So that defeats that emotional impact of the 4th movie, which kind of bugs me. But if there's any series, there's 2 series I think that lend themselves very well to sequels that Pixar makes, and it's Toy Story and Incredibles. Because like the stories you can
Mhm.
tell are like limitless. Like you can, it doesn't always have to be Buzz, Woody, and Jesse. It's going to be, but it doesn't have to, right? You can focus on other toys and
Right.
other areas. Like it lends itself much better to storytelling, especially with the Incredibles, which we'll get to later. But like I don't know, I feel like four was stretching it. Like I enjoyed 4. I thought it was interesting, but it stretches the concept of the stories with these characters. You could do new characters, right? But that's tough because people like these characters, and it comes with that. There's that sequel problem where like, what do people like in Toy Story? Well, they like Woody, Buzz, and Jesse. Okay, more of that. And that's okay. We'll do that in 2. Okay, now 3, more of that. Okay, do that in 4. Now more of that. And it's just like, oh my god, like how
Right.
much Woody, Buzzy, and like how about 3 new toys? You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
Mhm.
Like new family, new toys. But
Hey, they added Spork in the last movie.
they did.
Toy Story 4.
I think I'll see it. I mean, they know that this franchise is beloved. They know that it has like a lot of fan base, and I think they do take their time with it. But I do think it's a story that's going to resonate with older people, not kids, especially with
Yeah,
the iPad
for
stuff.
sure.
So it's going to be for us. And the death,
Mhm.
honestly, like the death of imagination and creativity, or the certain death of different types of creativity. I guess I'd say in imagination. There's still creativity. It's just different. It's changed. Just like anything else has
That's a
changes over.
change.
Yep. Just as anything
Yeah,
else
I
that
would.
happens as you get older, things change.
Yeah, I would say it's a change. Yeah, it is crazy to think that they're on Toy Story 5. I know the consensus will always be that 3 was the perfect ending for that story. I agree,
Yes.
but also, as far as I'm concerned, they also haven't missed. Like, once these movies start sucking, then I'll be like, hit the brakes. But I mean, I thought Toy Story 4 was damn good. Um,
Oh
and
yeah,
speaking of
also it says
sequels,
computer
Greg,
generated feature anime. Thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
I knew it was like the
um,
first like computer CGI animated
yeah,
feature. It was the big deal. We studied it
yeah,
in high school.
mm,
I'm old. I'm
yeah.
that
And then
old.
you mentioned sequels to Disney Pixar movies. Incredibles 3 was also a big announcement at D23. Incredibles 3 is in the works. Obviously, Incredibles is like peak my generation Pixar. That was 2004. I was 6 years old. This was like among that first wave of Pixar movies that I remember, like, or maybe it was 2006. It was among that wave of Pixar movies that I remember like seeing when it came out and loving when it came out. And it being like the new incredible thing that everybody was obsessed with. So, Incredibles 2 comes out. I think it was 2019. Incredibles 2 came out, or maybe yeah, 19. I liked it. It was fine, but I was kind of like, it does not at all stand anywhere near the original Incredibles, which is still like one of the best superhero movies ever made. But we're getting an Incredibles 3. They showed the logo. It's the eye again, but now it's split into 3 instead of 2 or 1. They didn't tell us anything else about it, but we know they're making it. I think they said the director as well. But you talk about stories that lend themselves to sequels. Age up these Incredibles, please, for this
Yes.
next movie. Age
Yes.
these characters up. The second one took place like a year after the first one. It was cute. I want to see like adult Violet. Give me like teenage Dash. Like age these characters up,
I think that's
please.
where we're going. I think that's where we're going.
Yeah,
It's logical. The first movie is about the family aspect, but focuses on the dad. Second movie is on the family aspect, but focuses on the mom.
from the
And the third
mom. Yeah,
aspect, you're gonna get, what's it
the
like being,
kids,
a
kids.
teenager going into college, or like a senior in high school going through life as a superhero. Boom, there's your
Yeah,
plot. You know what I mean?
I
Like
would love that.
there it is. How do you deal with
Mhm.
your brother, who's arguably one of the power? I don't even know what they call. I think they just call them supers instead of mutants. Who's one of the most powerful supers in the world? Like, how does that?
Mhm.
How does he deal with that as like a
Yeah,
middle schooler? I think that's where they'll go, and
baby
it's smart.
Jack.
It's
Yeah.
smart to go there, and it lends itself so well because they're not just rehashing old plots. And the '60s aesthetic is great. Like the early '60s spy thing is just such a
Hmm.
good take that you don't
Yeah.
see very often, and it goes in perfectly with the camp of superheroes when they used to be camp. They make fun of the
Hmm.
tropes in those comics in the '60s and '70s, which
I
is even
just.
better. And I appreciate that they've taken their time with it. That they haven't just done 1, 2, 3 like in the last 3 years. Good things come when
Mhm.
they're patient.
It's
Inside Out
The
too.
Incredibles is just. I
It's
think The
great. Yeah,
Incredibles
it's
is
great.
like
It's
a
fantastic.
flawless superhero movie. It's so good. The more I think about it, everything that happens in that movie, it is perfection. I love that movie. So yeah, I'm excited for Incredibles 3. You talk about like childhood nostalgia IP. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. I love those characters very much. And I hope they can deliver something special there. Those are the bigger three D23 stories, Greg. They also dropped the teaser for the new Percy Jackson season, which I'm excited about. But to be honest, the trailer doesn't really show much.
Dude, he's
It's
so
just the
old. He did an interview. They've
dude.
run out of time.
Yes,
He's like 20 now.
that
Like you're too late.
dude.
You need
The
to do it
trailer with
quickly.
somebody did a side by side because you can post like multiple videos in one tweet now. And it's the first Percy Jackson trailer, which was like a year and a half ago, and the new one.
Dude.
And the both of them, he's the first one, he's like, "My name is Percy Jackson," and then in the new one, he's like, "My name is Percy Jackson." They're
You
like,
didn't
"Dude,
film it fast
this
enough,
kid is
dude. You
growing
gotta
up."
do quick. He's too old. No, he's
Yeah,
too old.
but he's well, that's the thing. He's only 15. He's already like he's closely on pace. It's just, I mean, is kids just age faster than you could ever put them on screen unless they filmed it all simultaneously,
They're like,
which I
please,
thought
they're
was
like,
really
please don't
funny.
grow. Please don't grow. Fuck. He's like 6'2"
But
and like,
I know,
I'm
yeah.
Percy Jackson. How are you?
Mhm. Yeah, but I think it'll be a good like rite of passage sort of thing if they do it right. Like in the Harry Potter movies, obviously Daniel Radcliffe and those characters also get pretty old really fast. But I think it fit that series because like Harry Potter gets very mature very fast once you get around like the third to fourth book.
Third
It's like there's a
book is when
turn.
it really.
And Percy Jackson has a similar trajectory, right? If we get to Titan's Curse, which is the third book, and by that book or by that season of the show, Walker Scobell looks like a grown ass man as Percy Jackson. It'll be fitting because the story gets a lot darker after Titan's Curse and Battle of the Labyrinth and the Last Olympian. Like, I think it would work, but I'm excited for this. Now, I'm just hoping they renew this thing for season 3. I'm trying not to be greedy, but I'm like, please let the show make it past season 2 because the movie's only got to cover the first 2 books. Season 2 will cover the second book. Give me Titan's Curse. It's my favorite Percy Jackson book. It introduces my favorite side characters in that original series. Get to that damn book in an adaptation, please. I'm begging you. Do not end this with Sea of Monsters. I don't want to wait another 2 years to find out they're going to renew this show. But needless to say, I'm excited for the next season of Percy Jackson. I'm glad it's coming back.
In
Sea of
production.
Monsters is still
They
great.
waited.
Sea of
They
Monsters has some
waited.
cool
They
ass
waited
shit.
too long. It's in production. It should be wrapping now. No, it's in production. No, no. He's gonna do
Shoot
the
for a
third
while.
book, dude.
Rick
He's gonna be
Ryan
like
posted about
25, and you're gonna like not be able to watch it because he's too old.
It's the Stranger Things problem. It is the Stranger
Yes.
Things issue. Although Stranger Things is much worse because those seasons are like 4 years apart every time. Which Netflix,
Yeah.
what the hell did they?
Kids grow up
The hell
too
did
fast,
they
man. They grow up
expect
really,
here?
really quickly.
Yeah, but good for them though. I'm excited for more of this more of the show. I love Percy Jackson, the property, and the TV show. Other stuff they talked about there.
No Star
I'm trying to
Wars
think was
news, right? Like that's for their Star Wars convention, I think, by you.
Star Wars Celebration,
Yeah.
not by me. Star Wars Celebration is going to be in Tokyo, Japan next year. It's in like February.
Oh, are you going?
Not that I know of. That'd be news to me. Whoa, we got Bad Kitty 64 in the chat.
He's coming in.
Subscribing with Amazon Prime. She said, "We do it for Shacknews." How are you doing, Bad Kitty 64? Always nice seeing you. We're just talking about some D23 stuff, which actually now that Bad Kitty's here, just reminded me because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bad Kitty, but I believe you like Lilo and Stitch, which I like quite a bit. They did show a teaser for that, if you can even call it a teaser. It's like the logo, but then like Stitch, the CGI Stitch, like runs through it like a banner, and he does this like how thing at the camera, and then like that's the end. But they're doing a live action Lilo and Stitch next year, which check in on me when that comes out. That'll be
Just
interesting.
do the
because,
checkbox. Another factory. There we go. We're good there. What
I love Lilo
what
and Stitch.
IPs can we
Hawaiian
release?
roller coaster ride.
Musicals. And that's not a musical. They just use songs in that very, very, very uniquely and creatively. Yeah.
I'm listening to that song as soon as the show is over. I'm gonna bookmark it right now. Yeah. So that was also there. Bit of a nothing burger because they didn't really show anything, but it's coming. Zootopia 2 got a release date there.
Yeah, so it'll be a
Lot
teaser
of
good
lot
one
of things.
for his loves. Utopia.
Okay.
And that's a good movie. It's a film noir movie. I like that movie a lot.